All right, and we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Aptrepreneur Show, a very special episode. I am your host, Kevin the Aptrepreneur. It is an honor and a privilege for everyone to be joining us today, and I am joined by Dark Road Run, the long-lost twin of Dara Khosrowshahi.
That's true. It's Dara K. Road Run.
Yep, also known as Chicken Boy.
That's just true. I am banned from Uber headquarters.
Not that means anything.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of people who are banned from Uber headquarters. They're not allowed in anyway. So anyway, folks, this is the long-awaited follow-up for, just to kind of remind everyone what we were doing last time. Last time, hey, Jody, we were doing this little pros and cons of Prop 22 passing. Basically, what are the pros and the cons if Prop 22 passes for the drivers and the riders, whoever you are? We just did it. And, we invited people to share their thoughts on it. We both chimed in, got pretty spirited, and we got fairly far. And as you can see, things that were bolded and underlined were big points. And we ultimately decided that with the pros of passing Prop 22, there were 19 pros, with 4 of them being major ones. As for the cons, we decided jointly that there were 25 cons, and 5 of them were big ones. That's what we decided. And now we are doing part 2. We are going to be actually looking at the pros and cons of Prop 22 failing. And we're going to try to take an honest look at this. Now then, obviously there's going to be some crossover on the old list and this list. With the first one being, let's see here. The first con of Prop 22 failing is that Uber and Lyft don't want it to fail.
Yeah.
And I kind of said this in the last one. One of the cons for Prop 22 passing was that Uber and Lyft wanted it to pass. If they want it to pass, you should be suspicious of it.
Yeah.
For those same reasons, if they're afraid of it to fail, you have to wonder, that's got to at least be a little good for me, right? Mm. So anyway, before we go too much farther, Dark Road Run, what did you think of the last list and all that jazz? I think we were fair and balanced.
It was it was pretty complete on that. I mean, it's from a driver's perspective, I've been years of this stuff. Jody Smith in the house. You're absolutely right. If Uber likes it, it's probably bad for us, and if they don't like it, it's probably good for us. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And she says, as for me, Prop 22 is BS because if it passes, it will screw over a lot of people. Well, we can't use that as a reason, because a lot of people would also say that if Prop 22 fails, it will screw over a lot of people. So let's just jump right into it. Let's start seeing what the pros and cons are. Now, first of all, DRR. Are there any pros and cons you can think of off the top of your head that should be on this list? And by the way, people who are watching live, feel free to chime in your opinions. We're all brainstorming together.
So this is by the way, this is if Prop 22 gets voted no on Prop 22.
This is no.
So if it crashes, then that means the AB5 takes full effect, and the California Supreme Court or the judges, they gave Uber 30 days to comply, and then they're like, oh, well, we have an election coming up. Why don't you wait till then? And then so that's basically, it's going to be, there's no more like, can you just wait on this stuff? So if it doesn't pass, then the idea is that we're all going to be employees.
Okay. So we're going to actually put that as a pro and a con, just because a lot of people, that could be a pro or con for anyone. So AB5 becomes law of the land. And admittingly, that could very much be Depends on which side you're on. That could be a pro or a con.
I mean, the thing, I don't think it'll kill flexibility. I don't being an employee. I think that's like kind of a draconian look at employment of like saying like, oh, well, you have to go this scheduled shift thing, and there's no way of getting out. Like there's W-2 jobs. There's plenty of W-2 jobs where they have shifts. You're scheduled to work, and if you can't, you can find somebody to cover your shift for it. you know, it's like you're not like you're trapped. Like now, the idea like, oh yeah, you can just work whenever you want to. Well, what if Uber had a plan where, I mean, they have a ton of analytics and data on all their drivers are doing. They just have to downsize to a group that they can afford, and they don't have to pay, even though we'd be employees. They don't have to pay us when we're not working, so we're not scheduled. If they, I mean, they could, in a sense, hire probably 475,000, all 475,000 California drivers, and just not schedule most of them, or like saying like, oh well, like an Amazon Flex kind of thing. So, well, actually, I mean, would Amazon Flex be like nobody? I don't really hear a lot of people talking about like if Flex has a scheduled system, but I don't hear a lot of whether they're under the AB5.
No, you're right, and that's probably why. I mean, I hate to give Amazon credit, but that might be why Amazon doesn't care about this, because it's like, hey, look, we have schedule blocks, and it works for us, and we still allow them the flexibility so that they're independent contractors, but they're kind of like employees. So, like I said, there were always ways that Uber and Lyft could do this without breaking the law.
Yeah.
And they just never bothered to try.
They just would be more profitable if they continued the way it is. They have more than the drivers they need, and they don't have to pay for any overtime, benefits, minimum wage, and just kind of it's a bait and switch kind of thing of saying you can make all this money and then.
Right. Now, what I kind of listed that as a pro, that Uber and Lyft wouldn't be as profitable, because I actually do consider that a pro.
Yeah.
Because how much they've been abusing the drivers and even the passengers. I'm just kind of like, I'd consider that a pro if they made less money.
Yeah.
Actually, this one's kind of snarky, but one of the cons, Uber and Lyft might have to budget.
Yeah.
They'd have to budget the drivers and everything. That's kind of a joke, but I just wanted to fill that up. So, all right. So, some of the cons of Prop 22. I know. Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but do you think that if Prop 22 passes, they would actually enforce the "you can't work for the competition when you're not working for us" rule?
Oh, that's a good one. That's been thrown around a lot too. That is something that, I mean, like,
because here's the thing. I know that people work at both McDonald's and Burger King.
Right. And there's, I mean, it's going down to the, if there's just to fill a schedule, if you're working, that's,
Actually, Will, one of the things that we will list as a con, can't hop on and off at will, and we'll call that one a big one.
Yeah. I mean, now that I mean might be, it would probably suffer like just, I went on today and it was just like earlier I went out to get something to eat, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll do an Uber Eat, and I didn't get a request, but it was like, you could just go and like, maybe pick up a ride. But I mean, gosh, I mean, that's, man. So that's part of the flexibility issue.
All right. Yeah. Let's list it as a con just in case. Might not be able to work for multiple apps.
Yeah, you know what? The way I see it is kind of like I think it would turn out much like New York, where New York limited the number of drivers on the road, but that didn't stop the number of drivers on the road, because it was like, you got all these drivers that are logged in or a capped number, and then you got all the other people that are waiting to log in, and they're waiting for them like an opening. But Uber's limited on like they can only have 20,000 cars or something on at a time.
Yeah. So Starry's brought up one that I had forgotten about, and I think it's a pro.
Oh, that's right.
If Prop 22 fails, like
No
you know, you get to keep multiplier.
If it doesn't pass, if it fails to pass, and
I think you get to keep the multiplier if it doesn't pass. I think you can keep the multiplier because one of the ways that
I see, I can see why they would take it away if it passed because, and if it failed, but the multiplier was just like a little like it was a peace offering so they kind of somewhat comply with the AB5 regulation. So the AB5 was
true.
And it was like that, and see the destination of the ride before we could, like all those were not out of the concern for like, oh, we just invented this. No, they could have added that years ago. That was because like they were trying to pass this ABC test and everything. So if Prop 22 passes and things stay the same, there's no incentive, no reason why Uber would have to keep that. It's like they don't have to appease any state government at that time. It's like, and they're not going to keep it if it's like good for the drivers and bad for the company. Now, if Prop 22 doesn't pass and we become employees, I think that I could see them taking that away out of our hands if they switch it to like you're online, you're going to get paid minimum wage but you have to. But the result is like if you can't, if you're online, you probably can't not take a request. It's like when I do Amazon Flex, I sign up for a block. I have to deliver those packages. Otherwise, like I could get deactivated because it's like I'm scheduled to work for this hour and then. So, yeah, that.
So no, I kind of moved that to the con. The multiplier would go away.
Yeah, I love the multiplier.
and you can no longer cherry pick rides. I mean, there might be special reasons you could say no, but you probably have to accept everything. But now let's go to pros. I mean, the cons are piling up, so that's kind of surprising. But you will make at least minimum wage, which it's kind of sad that we have to highlight that as a good thing, because the thing is most drivers don't make minimum wage.
Yeah, over the years, they've surveyed thousands of drivers on this stuff, and it's like,
Now here's the thing: if we're employees and we're still using our own cars, do we get compensated then for like?
Oh, that's good.
And repairs and stuff.
Yes, I think. I'd probably closest thing that similar to that would be like a pizza delivery person who.
Well, when I delivered pizza, I did get a couple dollars per delivery for my gas and car maintenance.
Huh.
So I think that. So yes, I think you will get a reimbursement for gas and maintenance.
When I worked at a garage door company, and we had a company truck. It was really just me and like a couple people. It was a small mom and pop like warehouse basically, but we had a Ford pickup, a Ford Ranger that I was not allowed to drive because it was only my manager was allowed to drive because it had corporate. It was company insured, so even if it was just going a short way. So I wonder if like they would pick up the check on like now all our vehicles are basically represented it connected with the liability goes up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like this it's like the Wendy's chili thing, you know.
Hey, we'll say this: Uber is now liable for driver accidents, and I consider that a major one. And
yes,
you and I have talked about this many times. People are quite unaware of just how much Uber gets away with and does not owe you if you or someone else gets hurt during an Uber ride.
Unaccompanied minor. You go in an accident with an unaccompanied minor, you're done. Like Uber won't even defend that case. Like it's like
No.
violated the terms of service right now. You're done. If you got into an accident with an unaccompanied minor as an employee, that family of that unaccompanied minor can sue Uber, and they'll probably go after that because they have the deep pockets there. They're probably going to try to go after Uber anyways. But like over the years, there's been tons of lawsuits that have people trying to go after these companies for the fault of their drivers. That little girl on Halloween in 2013 in San Francisco, and Uber said, it's sad, but those are independent contractors. They hid behind that.
Right. They did hide behind that. So, well, now they're kind of now neck and neck, although yeah. So, yeah, no, that's a good one. So, in fact, I'll put this as like a question mark. Uber provides vehicles? Question mark.
yeah. They'll definitely have to pick up the check for all the business licenses. California happy about that.
Except business license costs. I don't think that's necessarily a major bullet point, but it's something.
Yeah. There were drivers. I remember in San Francisco when San Francisco tried to require a business license for all Uber drivers, and that's when drivers like either didn't stop driving in the Bay Area like myself, or they would call their passengers to see if they're going to San Francisco because it was only within San Francisco, and then just cancel the ride and risk deactivation.
Right.
Or just drive without their decals. They didn't want business licenses because they didn't have the rideshare endorsement on their insurance. They were doing this with regular insurance and just hoping they didn't get into an accident. But if you had a business license, you're registered into a database, and they can just say, "Oh, you're an Uber driver." The insurance companies can use that against you, and if you didn't have the rideshare endorsement, and yeah,
actually, maybe that should be another pro is that Uber now responsible for insurance.
Yeah, there's still drivers. There's still tons of drivers that don't have the rideshare endorsement.
Right.
It's like,
and that's
Uber keeps saying that, like, no special insurance required. It is the hypocrisy of this stuff.
Yeah. And here's a pro. Legal rideshare still stays in business.
Yeah.
Because so many people need lawyers.
Yeah.
When they get into an accident.
Yeah.
With Uber. So, hey, John Smith, how you doing? Welcome. I like your little Mickey Mouse ornament.
That's cool.
Now, Starry says, what about drivers who have a cargo box which they try to sell snacks to the passenger from? Well, here's another thing. Cargo stays around because Uber actually made a deal with cargo. However, and we'll put this right next to it, you no longer get bonus money from cargo because now you're an employee.
Yeah, and then they're not. Yeah, we're a middleman, or we become like, we're just spotting our cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So that would be a con about the cargo thing. Jody says, wouldn't be surprised if they made their drivers put tracking devices in their cars to keep track of exactly what they're. Well, Jody, in all fairness, they're already doing that with the app.
Well, the app, true, but I remember Metro Mile.
Oh, yeah.
It was like you plug it into a OBD2 port, and then they track how many miles you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more, I guess.
Exactly. So,
that was one of the first rideshare insurance plans too.
Yep. All right. So, part of me on the con wants to say you no longer get like bonus money for signing up drivers, but I wouldn't put that there for two reasons. One, the bonus money frankly sucks right now anyway. I don't think anyone would do it. Secondly, I know a lot of businesses that still offer a bonus if you recommend a good employee.
Really? So. Oh, well, okay. So the referral codes, I mean, the reason why I think that they would be gone, they would just cut them out altogether, would be they have more than enough. There's 400,000 or 500,000 drivers in California right now. They have everybody they need on the platform that they can afford on the platform. So I mean, yeah, as bad as it is right now, where like, I mean, there was a time when referral money was people were making more money off that than they were driving.
I remember making a few $1,000s a month just on referrals. It was like good days. But
yeah, now everybody's like, oh, they're going to sign up if they want. Uber's found ways of like not honoring referrals and just.
Oh yeah, that happened a couple times.
Yeah.
To me, so you know, so anyway,
I think Uber is really like convinced that they would actually. I'm wondering like if they're so convinced that it's going to pass, that 22 is going to pass, like that they haven't already killed the referral program in anticipation for this. Like, why would they still be paying referrals for people to sign up? No, well, actually, no. They could.
I don't know.
They could just cut it really. All of a sudden, they make their own terms. That sucks.
Yeah, that's a pro. If Prop 22 fails, Uber and Lyft no longer make their own terms.
Yeah.
I'll call that a big one. So, all right. So, So the cons so far: Uber and Lyft might have to budget. AB5 becomes a law of the land. Might kill flexibility. Can't lock on and off at will. Might not be able to work for multiple apps. Number of drivers limited on road. Multiplier goes away. Can no longer cherry pick rides. Which, let's be honest, you haven't been able to cherry pick rides for a long time anyway, because that's no longer profitable as it is. The Uber bonus money goes away, question mark. You can no longer get bonus money from cargo. See, one of the things is, even though I don't think Prop 22 failing will necessarily help a whole lot, it's also hard to think of too many cons to it. To AB5 not becoming a law of the land. I guess on the pro, drivers can start earning benefits. Con to that,
overtime and stuff. Yeah.
And
then
if you miss weeks, it's like you can lose benefits, because unfortunately, there are ways that Uber and Lyft can.
And it, in a way, like their diamond platinum level like star program thing that they used to have, where it's like that expires and you need to keep on. You can't just like get to your diamond level driver level and get the free education from ASU, and then just not drive anymore. Like it expires already. So
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've heard some horror stories, I think from your channel too, of like people that were taking advantage of the ASU education, and then Uber says like, you didn't maintain enough rides and we're not paying for this tuition this semester or something. It's like,
right. That was such a catch-22, because it's like people who are using those benefits to get the education, they had no time to actually take advantage of the education, because if they took advantage of the education, then they lost the benefits.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What about ride refunds while employees? Actually, I think that would be a very big pro, because here's the thing. Uber and Lyft would eat cost of ride refunds.
For passengers that make an accusation and want their money back. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But one of the cons to that is you can get fired over complaints. Although I want to add,
it's kind of get fired.
This is how it works,
right?
Anyway,
right. Yeah.
So I'm going to list it just to be fair, but I do want to add that little note that you can be deactivated for complaints. So that's that's what you do. Thank you, Rideshare Source Driver, for volunteering that one.
Yeah. Do you think the stock price is going to take a hit if Prop 22 fails?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stocks would take major hit.
That's connected with the profitability. They're not going to be as profitable and that number is based off of their earnings report. So
right, which is funny because they always lose money anyway. But
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
They get points for like losing less money.
yeah, Uber is actually stock is kind of like Disney stock. It kind of defies reality to a certain extent.
Yeah,
I mean, Disney goes like, "Hey, we're firing 28,000 cast members, and we lost this much money," and the stock goes up $10.
Yeah,
Like, well, okay, whatever. I don't get it, but okay. So let's see here. What else are we? Boy, we're getting through this one faster. We might need to add more columns. You never know.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What would be some of the
I mean,
did I? Okay, I already put Uber can be sued.
Yeah, I would say pro is like there's. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Ryan's Treasures in the house.
Oh, hey, Ryan, how you doing? Let's see here.
Oh yeah.
If it passes, Uber and Lyft will for sure stay in California if they were serious with the threat.
It's true.
So I guess one of the cons.
I think it's bluffing on that. I mean, they're just but if there's money to be made, they'll stay.
I'm kind of under that. But hey, they're threatening, so let's just make that a con.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of a con, and who knows, like maybe depending on what side of the fence you're on, that could be a pro or a con.
Yeah.
I
would say a pro is that as employees, you can there's maybe an upward mobility path. You can get promoted possibly as like you looked at as like get a raise. Maybe like you've been driving for a good driver for a year now. We want to reward that. There's a reward system into not just like so. I mean, they would be slave drivers if they didn't. Well, they'd kind of do that now. So you could be with the company for 6 years. It doesn't matter. Most likely you'll be making less money because the rates are lower.
Right.
And you can get deactivated of the whim of, they're not going to listen to it doesn't matter how long you've been with the company.
Yeah. So I put 4 pros here. Promotions might be in the cards.
Yeah.
You might get raises. Driver churn would slow dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And 401k is possible.
That's true.
It's like AKA, and this is important for everyone who watches people who do this for a living, retirement.
Yeah.
Because look, I want to stress that look, I salute the people who are still out there and embracing the grind, if you will, but the thing I do wonder, and we kind of talked about this a little last night, what happens with the people who have been doing this for like 4 or 5 years? Like, what's the end game?
Yeah.
There's no retirement in this. Like, what do you do if you decide to stop doing it? Is TaskRabbit or Uber or DoorDash going to like give you a gold watch and a 401k saying, say, hey, thanks for all your years of service? No, you're not even just in the system anymore. And retirement is something a lot of people on this channel who watch me don't even stop to think about. And in all fairness, that's not just because you're a gig worker, it's because you're young. And young people think they're going to live forever. But as someone who's coming up to 36 years old soon, I'm definitely looking at like, well, shoot. I mean, the average person lives 60. That's I could be a little more than halfway done with life. And what am I going to do? So thankfully I started saving early, but I see some people who are 40 or 50 and they don't have a savings and they're doing this and they're like, oh, well, it's working for the time being. And it's like, but that's a very, very limited time that you have to make it work. Yeah. And if you're not saving anything, then this is going to bite you hardcore in the long run. So if you become an employee, you might have access to a 401k, which would be for retirement.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Jody Smith said, would you get time and a half for holidays? That overtime and holidays.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Overtime, holiday pay, and Is there another?
That's
I feel like there's a third one that we're supposed to be putting here, but
like paid sick leave or what? Vacation.
Sure, why not?
The whole I think there's we're supposed to get vacation days or I don't know if that's
I think I put that up here already. Drivers can start earning vacations.
Yeah.
Drivers can start earning benefits.
Yeah.
So,
but it's all yeah. There's a lot of.
Yep. That's that. There, we'll have to add a few more, I think.
Yeah.
So, boy, not nearly as many cons as there are pros. I'm trying not to be biased, folks, but hey, help us out. Let's see here. Abstract Echo, welcome. It says, if Uber and Lyft leave CA, there are other rideshare companies like Bolt Drivers and Palto Alto that would likely swoop in. Okay, yeah, let's see here. That's another pro. If Uber and Lyft leave, competitors ready to swoop in. So basically, nobody's losing their job over this. No one is losing their job over this. Dave says overtime to meet demand. I think Christmas bonuses. Yeah, I mean, well, maybe.
Yeah, the Christmas bonus would be
Christmas bonus.
At least we could be probably invited to a Christmas party or two. Like, that'd be nice.
I remember when they used to do driver get-togethers.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That Lyft had a big thing about that. They had a weekly newsletter that was an email thing, and they would say like, "Oh, drivers are going bowling this. There's a bowling night or something."
I went to several of those, and not to toot my own horn. Granted, my channel was a lot more popular back then. But yeah. I actually had to stop going to some of them because I became kind of like the local celebrity. Everyone recognized me because back then, there were even fewer rideshare channels than they were now, and I had gotten in at just the right time.
Yeah,
where I was like number 2 to Uber, man.
Yeah.
Ryan says, I need to do a 401k at my job, which I indeed do get a 401k at my job, which I invest in. Yes, and always invest in it. So let's see here. Starry says, an employee would be banned from handing personal business cards to passengers to try and schedule private rides down the road. I'm actually going to count that as a con. No longer can do private rides. Although I will say,
deactivate
this could be dangerous.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do it, now you really can't do it. So.
And they could deactivate you right now for trying to sell a. I mean, there were people that were getting deactivated in New York City who were advertising giving out Juno referrals or something like that.
Which is, of course, ironic because Uber was the one who would take Lyft rides and then try to get them to sign up for Uber. Apparently it's not good when you do it the other way around.
Do you remember those the undercover agents from Uber that would? Yeah, shoot.
Now,
Uber fights dirty. they had this
very dirty.
They told their employees in 2014 to call Lyfts on their spare time and then cancel when the driver got close. This is why we have a cancellation fees. Lyft instituted that because they were getting screwed over by Uber.
Right.
Uber doesn't care.
Yeah. So anyway, Rideshare Source Driver says competitors will already abuse drivers since they allow it. I don't know entirely if that would be a pro or a con. I mean, the thing is, any business can abuse their employees.
Yeah.
I don't think that would change whether Prop 22 passed or let's see here. Even if Prop 22 doesn't pass, drivers can still remain independent contractors. I think it would be too expensive to make employees. I'm going to throw it under pro. Uber and Lyft can still leave drivers as ICs with modification to how app works.
Yeah. I mean, it would be some serious Yeah,
it would have to be serious modifications, but they could do it.
Yeah,
they could do it.
I heard something that was somebody article about the way this works is that if you are a hair salon, and if you run a hair salon and you hire employees to cut hair under this model, well, under the traditional, I mean, as it always is, you can't hire an employee, you can't hire a worker under an independent contractor model if the worker conducts business that's inherent to the company's, like, you can't hire people to cut hair if you're a hair cutting business as independent contractors. You can hire a plumber to come in and fix your plumbing as an independent contractor because that's not your part of your business model. But that's the case that Uber is trying to make for years, is like, we're not a transportation company, so we can hire all these drivers as independent contractors because we're a payment company or we're a technology company. We make apps, we make the analytics software or something like that. We're not hiring the independent contractors as part of our business model.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a side effect. That's
right.
what they're trying to make. But if you ask, 1,000 people, what's Uber? They say, oh, it's like a taxi service, ride share.
They're not fooling anyone.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Now, Jody says, what about docking drivers pay if they take too many sick days? Well, that wouldn't happen. That's neither a pro or a con, because here's the thing. I mean, yeah, you don't get paid if you take a sick day, but then you don't get paid under the current thing if you don't drive.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean,
that doesn't change. That doesn't change at all. But if you were an employee, you would get sick days. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, you can cover, as long as you get someone to cover your shift, then you're good. I mean, that's kind of
right.
Like, if you can't work that day.
Here's the interesting thing about the sick argument. I know that some people do have debilitating. Now, this is going to sound really, really mean. I acknowledge this. I expect some nasty comments on this one.
Oh, yeah.
And there's even some people who have been viewers for years. I've met them in real life, and I respect their position. And I know I'm going to say something that they are not going to be happy with. But here's the thing.
Yeah,
there are some people who have some debilitating conditions where it's like they just need to be able to have any day they want off because this, they could just be in random pain one day.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be on government assistance. Now, here's the thing. Totally respect this position. Totally admire this position. So glad that you have enough self-respect that you do not want to be on government assistance and you would rather work, and thus that is why you would like to keep the current model. With all due respect, if you need to take any day you want off, maybe you should be on government assistance because that's what it was made for. For the people who truly cannot work regular shifts. The government and we as a people have agreed to take care of you.
Yeah.
And that is not abusing the system. You've paid into that system. That's my opinion. But again, I totally respect people who have this position.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why every time, and I've had to get on unemployment a few times, I have always done it with gritted teeth because I hate it.
Yeah.
I would rather be working and putting things into this stuff than taking out of it. But once in a while, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
So Eric says, if Uber isn't a transportation company, then why do they take a car insurance policy on every driver?
That's true. That's true.
That's a good question, and I don't think it actually has anything to do with Prop 22. How far would some drivers need to go to start a shift? Yeah. That might be a con.
Oh yeah.
Your area might have a cap on how many drivers they need.
Oh.
And that could potentially be a big one because if they don't need much, like let's just say they've determined that, say, in my hometown, Citrus Heights, California, they might decide we just need 10 Uber drivers and we can kind of get all of our business done. Right. That basically means that only 10 people get to drive for Uber in Citrus Heights. And if they come onto Uber, they might have to start in Stockton or something.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? So I'm going to count that as a con.
Yeah.
So
Eric's right though. They are a transportation. It's just a dodge to get around like classification on it. But it's It's pretty
Well,
clear what they are, and this would kind of turn them into a taxi company in a way. And actually, I mean, the taxi industry, they solved the whole, or they not really solved a solution, but their solution for all these regulations is well, no, they kind of the crazy with the medallion system.
yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
well, you know that they're a cab company because remember what it is that they started out as.
yeah, it's Uber taxi. Yeah.
Uber Cab takes the hassle out of booking a car service. And this is how they sold themselves as a cab company. And then
I remember
when someone mentioned that was illegal,
yeah,
did say that they weren't.
I remember you could call a taxi in the Uber app, and and they would take a service fee or something like that out of that. But it was so they wouldn't. It was extend an olive branch to the industry that they're killing. But
Yep. So Star says forced to work overnight to keep your job if you become an employee. I don't think that's what would happen, but let's put it this way. A con could be you might have to take less than desirable shifts.
Yeah.
So because when you're an employee, sometimes they say, well, we don't really need anyone for the afternoon, but we could use people from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And you might not want to do that, although actually DRR, that would actually be your perfect
that's
probably volunteer for that actually.
I've for years I was always trying to get those morning shifts, wake up on time and get those nice early morning airport rides. I could never wake up early.
I used to do the airport rides in the morning, and then on the weekends I would do late at night the bar hops.
Yeah.
So if employees, drivers will have to drive in hazardous weather. Okay, let's talk about that one for a second. Because there's a certain amount of truth to that, but then there is a situation if they are a company and they're your employees, they do have to take your safety into consideration. So it's
that's true.
kind of possible that in some cases the weather might be so extreme that they have no choice but to shut the service down. So let's do a pro and a con on this one. Might have to drive in inclement weather.
Yeah.
But the con, that's the that's the pro. I'm sorry. That's the con. I'm sorry. But the pro is service might be forced to shut down if
unsafe,
inclement weather is too severe. That means, for example, if there is an earthquake in California, they might actually just have to shut down the app. And you're not driving at all. And then heck, they might even have to compensate for that. I don't know.
California wildfires start up again, I mean, there was some heavy pollutants in the air. I mean, there was some times when they were saying in the last month with all the wildfires, we couldn't go outside, and it was it was just breathing in all that smoke. And there was drivers out there working away, taking.
Now, Jody says if it does pass, would they get by with saying, well, they're employees now, so we'll just write them off on taxes? Well, I mean, yeah, that's what companies do. It's not unique to Uber.
The pandemic's a good example for the weather thing, because I mean, in unsafe conditions, Uber should have shut down like everybody else.
Yes, they should have.
It's no, they stayed open, and they had pool for the most part until April. They were with and what was their composite? They give, if you did contract the virus, you got a week's pay or something like that. They had some BS sick pay version of sick pay or something like that, but then you had to show you had to have worked a certain number of hours before to qualify, and
right. Yeah, no, Uber handled the COVID-19 situation completely wrong. Now, I put this as a pro. I don't know if it's true though, Do you think Uber Pool would go away if we became employees?
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be any more or less profitable, but
I think it would. I think could if it makes them it makes them more money though. I mean, it makes the service more efficient for them.
no. Okay, so
probably wouldn't pay us anything extra. It would just be like you're scheduled to work from 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 p.m. today, and here's your first ride. It's an Uber Pool. Well, you're going to take it because we're paying you $50 for those 2 hours, and it's like, but it just I think we're just going to be it's just going to be a lot like so probably not going to be any jackpot rides of like I got a 3x surge to San Jose and like I'm going to make $150 off this ride or something,
yeah.
Or the long trip that you were, well, that was a joke.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing, so I'm going to put it as a con, but that's like a very weak con, if only because honestly, the unicorn rides went away a heck of a long time ago.
Yeah,
I mean, those days were like you and me would like get just the right surge and just the right distance where it's like that ride would be like an hour and it would be hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. In fact, well, actually, no, I'll hold that till the end. I'll hold that till the very, very end.
Yeah. Dave the Uber slave had a good point. Whereas like he started the job just like logging in, not knowing the market. And then he like, by the time he learned the market, it turned out like he knew that he could make most like 90% of his income or like a huge proportion for only an hour to 2 hour shift, like the right hour to 2 hours of the day. And so he would like log in on those hours, make his money, and then go home. And there's no like, or if you happen to get that, you make that quota. Like I made $200. I just logged in, made $200. I'm done for the day. Like, whereas employees is like, with you're scheduled to work for 4 hours. It's like,
yeah. Well, I guess that'd be a con.
Income reliability.
Be an adult and finish your shift.
That's
your shift.
Income reliability, I think, would be a pro because I would trade surge pricing for just higher rates across the board and just saying like I make $30 an hour. I know it's not like I make $5 an hour and then maybe I get that $50 an hour. It's like
right. Yeah. Although for some people, we'll just put it this: bad for people who care more about flexibility than reliability.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We'll put that one right there since they're kind of two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is anyone else? Jody says their prices would probably go up. Yeah. No. Prices on rides would go up. I mean, I don't see how that affects the drivers much, but there. I
mean, it's
you're employed.
Got to come from somewhere. It's like
rates regardless of service being used. Sure, why not? Who's as a con?
Yeah. Couldn't
hop zones as an employee. As it is now, a market can be split into 5 zones. You can switch between them. They would probably have to have a system to deal with what happened. Actually, this might be a pro. They would have to pay for return trips, especially if it brought you outside your zone.
Yeah.
If you can't work in that zone, you've got to drive back.
Drive
back, that's money you're not making. But they got to pay you for that one way or the other.
Right. Yeah. Taxis like a San Francisco taxi is licensed to pick up and drop off, or pick up in San Francisco. They can drop off. You can take a San Francisco taxi to Oakland, but they're not allowed to authorize to pick up in Oakland because they are under a San Francisco business license.
Right. Which is why they charge a lot more when you take them out of their zone, because they've got to drive back.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Return trip on it.
They charge a return trip trip cost as well. So I actually even remember one of my friends, he took a San Francisco taxi, and I mean, they've computerized it all. So the guy took him a certain length. Once they were out of his zone, they noticed that instead of it being like $1.50 a mile, it was like $4 a mile.
Yeah.
Like it just went up because it's like, hey, you got to pay for that return trip.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I wonder how airports that would change under the employee model if they still do the TNC lot.
They probably would. And we're gonna put that as a con actually. You might have to earn the right to pick up rides at airports. And the reason this could be a con is because airport people tend to be very good tippers. So
they want their drivers to know. Yeah.
Hey, here's a pro. Still get tips.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Rideshare source driver is a good question. Who gets a ticket if you got a driving ticket or
well, that would be pretty simple. Uber pays ticket. Yeah. However, Uber driver can get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
For getting ticket. So that's kind of a pro and a con because, okay, you yourself are probably not going to pay that ticket anymore.
Yeah.
You will have to pay the ticket. But obviously, that would probably amount to what they call in the real world a write-up. And like in the real world, you get so many write-ups, you will be disciplined up to or including termination.
Yeah.
So still get the tips that they can steal. Actually, that boy, we're really filling up this list. Uber has to be legally transparent about the tips. Which right now they're technically not legally they don't legally have to be transparent about the tips right now.
Yeah. The airport stuff right now, you can get a ticket at the airport, and then they send it to Uber, and Uber automatically pleads guilty in your behalf, and then they take it out of your pay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
exactly. So probably the driver get paid for the full day or just the time they worked if they happen to get sick. Well, of course you would only get paid for the time you worked. That's pretty, unless you had some sick time occurred. So I guess that kind of depends. If you have sick time built up, then you can get paid for taking the full day, even if you take some sick time off. But if you don't have it, then no, you only get paid for. And that's what's going on with everyone. That is would not be unique to Uber. Let's see here. I mean, parking tickets when picking up rider at no pickup zones, not so much referring to speed. Whatever ticket you get, Uber would have to pay for it, but they would probably write you up for it at that point. I mean, that
like the airport tickets. Yeah, I would think it's if you got caught in the wrong lane of pickup area or something like that, they don't even approach you. You don't even know you got a ticket until you realize like, oh, they're taking money out. You earned this much, and they've deducted it for it's. Whereas, I guess they would be responsible for. I don't know. If you were a pizza delivery person, and you got a speeding ticket or an illegal parking ticket in the process of delivering a pizza, would you?
This is one of the reasons they take insurance on you. Like, when I worked at Round Table, keep in mind this was a long time ago.
Yeah,
they charged like a delivery fee from people. However, you got a certain portion, and they got a certain portion. The reason they get a certain portion is because if you got into an accident or you got a ticket or something, that was the insurance, and they would take care of it.
Yeah.
But then they would write you up, and depending on the offense, you would probably be demoted into tossing pizzas as opposed to delivering them.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to make pizzas at pizza places. Everyone wants to be the delivery boy because the delivery boy can usually make an average of $100 a night. So. Actually, I kind of wonder, like, hey, if people watching my channel really like their tips so much, just deliver pizza. I mean, you'll get paid minimum wage and you'll get pretty good tips. So, you know, and you'll have some stability. So,
Yeah.
an employee would be paid for the wait time at the restaurant while working eats. Yeah. You know. Yep.
Yeah, you would like you would get paid even if like for now. I mean, I don't know. Did they add? This is if they do they still like well you would as an employee you would get paid if you got no well actually yeah I mean if you're scheduled like to again if you're scheduled to work it's like they're paying you for those hours. I was just like you know
right.
When I started, you waited around for a ride request. You weren't getting paid for the wait. And then when you got a request, you weren't getting paid for the distance or time it took you to get to that person. The payment only started when you got them in your car to start the ride.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I think they added something where or Lyft said like, now we're going to pay you for the time and distance, a percentage of it on the way to the pickup. But
right.
But it was
something they should have been doing right from the get-go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, folks, we've almost done like an hour, and I mean, unless something comes up at the last minute that's really good, I think this is about as we're like on page 3.
And you know, the crazy thing is like this is Prop 22 probably has already passed or failed, right? There's a lot of people, voters have already voted by mail by now. So
right, but this is kind of still like a last minute.
It's a good observation of what might happen here.
Right. So let's see how many pros there are in general. 1, 2, 3, 4. 32 pros with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With 12 major ones.
Yeah.
So the cons are 30 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7 major points. So
I think it's going to be good for drivers if it doesn't pass.
I think it will be too. I mean,
it's not going to be good for everybody, but it's going to be good for the ones that like really need this job and are working full-time hours anyways. They don't have flexibility. Like they have to do this to like, you know, to survive.
Right. I mean, let's look at the go back once more the pros and cons of Prop 22 passing. With that, there were 15 pros if it passed, and 4 of the major ones, and there were 25 or there were 20 cons, with 5 of them being, you know, major ones. So in both of our analysis, and of course, again, we invited a lot of people to contribute to both of these lists, and they stepped up to the plate. I think it's pretty clear that even if AB5 is not necessarily a band-aid for everything, truly, no one's going to be completely happy with this.
Yeah.
I think on average, it works out better than if Uber and Lyft are exempted from Prop 22. Now, you are right that, you know, a lot of people probably already voted, but hey, maybe there's some people who haven't voted. And so this is kind of like, there's a lot of people who are waiting for the day of. So, and one of the things that was brought up on some news stories is that Uber and Lyft actually increased their spending on Prop 22 ads. And the reason they might be doing that is because they're looking at the numbers, and it might not be going as well for them as we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, full disclosure, I voted no on Prop 22.
Yep. I haven't voted yet, actually.
Oh, well, I do believe Prop 22 will pass. But you know what? I've gotten a little optimistic that a lot of people who are not drivers actually contacted me and have been looking up my videos and stuff and other people's videos and seeing what's this about really. And so I think people are actually kind of taking a closer look and realizing that's not a good thing. In fact, let me share one more thing with everyone, because people who say that they want Prop 22 to pass, because they want to be independent. Let me just have like a visual representation of what that looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is a receipt from someone on Facebook.
It looks like Florida.
It is Florida.
Yeah.
They took this ride in Florida on Halloween, and they took it cross-state from one beach to the other, to the beach on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
Some snarky commentators commented that he gave Florida a circumcision.
Yeah.
That's the dirtiest joke you'll probably ever hear on this channel, but there you go. And so you look at that, that is a almost 3-hour trip.
Jeez.
Distance is about 147 miles, and they got 197.97.
That was their take-home pay from that trip.
Yeah. Now,
yeah, what does that work out by the hour?
Now, that's where people are going to start like saying, like, I've got the calculator here, so let me just do that real quick. Divided by
3.
well, let's round it up to 3.
Yeah.
That's about $66 an hour.
Yeah.
That sounds really good, but here's what you have to keep in mind. That does not account for the gas and the wear and tear on the way. Yeah. This person still has to drive almost 3 hours back. What are the chances that they're going to get a ride that pays for them to go clear across the state? They probably even filled up their tank of gas at least once on the way to do this one, and they're going to have to do it again.
So let's take a full tank of gas at a fuel efficient car, maybe $30.
Okay, so $30, and let's make it.
Actually, the range would be, yeah. I mean, so like he's got 150 miles there, 150 miles there back. Say 300 miles. So that's a full tank of gas on it. So like say, with food, but you're gonna eat anyways, I guess. But yeah. So shave off 30 for gas. Shave off like another, say.
Hold on one second. I'm doing this, and I realize maybe we should actually be visualizing this.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can bring it up on
people. So let's stop sharing the screen, and let's do the online calculator. There we go. So let's let me go back to the online calculator, and it's let's see here. 197.97. 79. Oh, it wasn't it? Was it?
I think it's 197.97.
Right, it was. You're right. It was 97. So
198.
97. Okay, so we're taking away $30 for the gas.
Yeah.
What else are we taking away?
I'd say $5 for like wear and tear on the vehicle. You know, that's generous. Like that's
each way.
Yeah. Was that? Say again.
Like, are we doing 5 for like one direction or 5 for there and back?
Let's do 10 for there and back. So we take wear and tear plus gas. So shave off $40.
Yep.
And let's say he didn't stay for he drove all the way back, but he didn't get a ride. Like that was his ride of the day.
Right. And minimum wage is like $10. Let's just say $10 an hour. So that's another $30.
And it was 3 hours there.
Yeah. So $30. You basically lose $30 in minimum wage if you're driving back and you don't have a ride.
Oh, yeah. That's it's just like, yeah. So I mean, that was the 197. That's what he made total, and it was like total like 3 hours there, 3 hours back. So it's 6 divided by 6 hours.
Well, I wouldn't. Oh, you're right. Because he's not getting paid minimum wage anyway. So yeah, okay, we'll toss another 30. Why not?
Yeah.
Is there any other losses, or would you say that's
other than eating, but I mean, but again, that's like it's not
eat anyway.
He's hungry. I mean, he's gonna get It's like it's right. He's putting miles on his car. It's not he's gonna eat anyway. Yeah. So, but right. Yeah.
So. I'm gonna be fair and let's take away one of the 30s just because he got paid for one direction. So we'll just give him that one. So this is what his true earnings are. And when you divide that by
6 hours,
6 hours,
$21
$21 an hour
before tax.
before tax. Guys, you can make more money working for Costco.
Yeah.
You can make a lot more money working for Costco.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have a future working for Costco too.
And you have a future working for Costco. Like, Rideshare Source Driver says Geo, our buddy Geo, earns around $50 an hour on TaskRabbit and barely drives. Hey, that's good for him. Very good for him. But again, that does not negate the fact that there is no 401k, there is no retirement, there is no future. Like, unless you are very disciplined and you start saving for this, and I hope he's saving for this, then
I mean,
it's not going to matter in the long run.
The rideshare source drivers, it could, if this is the point is getting at, it was like there's within the app job economy opportunities out there. There are better app jobs that put less stress on your car.
Yes, if that's the point he was trying to make, then I agree.
I did an Amazon Flex for $79, and I had to drive a total of 17 miles. And to do that on Uber Eats, I would have probably had to drive, 70 miles or something like that. And it's like, so it's, but none of them come with, they all are loopholes to the system of labor laws. Like there's no future here, people.
Right. Now, Starry says minimum wage in California is $15. So under this scenario, you made more than minimum wage. Yes. But there are a lot of companies you can work at that you pay more than minimum wage. Actually, the minimum wage in California is $12.
Is it? Yeah.
It'll go up to 15 in a couple of years, but it's $12 right now.
Yeah. 15.
Actually, let me make sure because
I think they raised it, but I know I think it's like $15.50 in San Francisco.
Okay, so let us ask the almighty Google, Google, how much is minimum wage in California in 2020? It is $13. $13.
But 15 in San Francisco, and San Francisco, like the rates are not that much better anymore in San Francisco.
No, they're not. And the bottom line is there's a lot of places that will pay way more than minimum wage. Like Costco will pay more than minimum wage. Believe it or not, Walmart pays more than a minimum wage. Not by much, but a couple dollars. And
In-N-Out Burger starts at like 18 or something like that. Chick-fil-A is another one.
Here, In-N-Out Burger starts at $20.
$20. Yeah.
You can make more money flipping burgers at In-N-Out. Granted, they are always busy, so it's that's kind of a stressful job.
And you probably get free food too.
Yeah, you probably get free food.
I feel guilty when I go to like a Subway, like it's like an hour's worth of earnings or longer or sometimes.
Yeah, it really.
Uber Eats though has been good to me. I gotta say, the last month that I've gotten back into this. I mean, but that's just purely circumstantial based on the environment that we're in right now. But
right. It's not going to be that way forever once the pandemic is under control, which I don't think is going to happen until at least next summer. So
I think Disneyland is going to be closed for.
Disneyland is going to be closed for a very long time. And I don't blame them. I mean, one of the problems with Disneyland is and I worked for Disneyland, so I witnessed this. Yeah. People who go to Disneyland have the biggest sense of entitlement ever. They do not want to follow the rules. I am fully confident that Disney could implement safety rules. I am not convinced they can force people to do it. I actually have witnessed situations where kids would be licking the rails and the cast members would tell the parents tell the kids not to do that. And the parents would say, "Oh, no, you don't. That's my child. If my child wants to lick that rail, they'd be special at Disneyland because they paid a lot of money to get in. That's
I read some story that some woman who was a cast member for 40 years got laid off, and she was a year away from retirement. It was like, oh man,
yeah, that's a bad Lethal Weapon joke right there.
Yeah,
real time. And
I remember the free Subway thing. Do you remember that they used to give a free small drink or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think that's coming back.
Yeah. Or Taco Bell had a thing where passengers can get tacos through encouraged drivers to go through
I stopped driving for Lyft until that was over.
Yeah.
I was still driving at the time, and it's like, heck no.
Yeah.
because you know what happens when people get tacos? They eat them in the car, even though, like,
Bad
one guy gave me like a bad rating on Lyft because I had never been no driver had ever been so rude. I just wanted to bring some tacos home and I wasn't going to eat them in the car. And he said no. It's like, well, yeah, because genius people told me that they weren't going to eat in the car before and they ate anyway.
Yeah.
And tacos are the messiest. Now, after that thing, after I got that feedback, I actually did start letting people eat tacos, but because I kind of realized, and yeah, some people are going to comment about this, but because they did mess up the car every single time, I collected a cleaning fee every single time.
Yeah.
And it only took a few minutes to clean up. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you want to disrespect my car? Fine, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah,
so I know there's people who will say that's not ethical. Actually, I think that one's perfectly ethical.
Cleaning fees might go down if the compensation might go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like less than 48 hours away from this thing. We're could be. I don't think it's. I think Uber's going to stay in California. I think there's a good chance that this is. I hope Prop 22 fails. I think it's going to pass. I think they don't need the driver's vote, and it comes down to passengers. They use this not for the morality of it. They use it because it's cheap. Like they shop at Walmart. It's because it's cheap. Right. And it's like all they have to say to the pitch to the passengers is say, like, you want it to keep being cheap? Then
yeah. Well, let's just look at one little. This wasn't planned entirely, but I do think it's just in case there's anyone out there who might be afraid of not voting just because they think they've already lost the battle. No. Every vote is still very important, and this is why. From Eater, despite massive ad spending by tech companies, California's Prop 22 might not win. How? Now, here's what the article says. It's official. Proposition 22, the measure proposed by a consortium of tech companies, including DoorDash, Uber, Postmates, and Instacart, is the most expensive ballot race in California history. Yeah. So far, the ride, hail, and food delivery companies have poured nearly $200 million into their campaign to deny drivers and delivery workers employee protections and to instead continue to classify them as independent contractors. The funny thing is, this was 3 days ago, and that's already outdated. It's closer to 250 now. Despite massive expenditure, recent polling suggests that the race remains a close one. According to a poll released on October 26 from UC Berkeley's Institute of Governmental Studies, 42% of likely voters oppose Proposition 22, 46% of voters approve it, and 12%, just 12% remain undecided.
Okay, could get a pretty close.
Yeah, so for the measure to pass, it must win by a 50% +1 margin, which is likely why in recent days, Californians have been deluged with ads in support of the bill. This correspondent can recite the "as a mom of 4, I can't work a full-time job" commercial from memory. It's true. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Yes on Prop 22 campaign is on track to spend more than $82 million on television and radio ads by November 3rd. Other expenditures include a $2 million donation to California's Republican Party, as well as smaller but still notable donations to Republican parties in Ventura County and Santa Clara County. You see, the funny thing is, like, I'm actually registered as Republican, and I disagree. I'm not for Prop 22, so yeah. I am definitely a centrist. Yeah, here's a tweet. In contrast, the workers and labor groups that oppose Prop 22 have raised about $19 million in total. Now, that's interesting. That kind of goes to show how people really feel about this, because common sense says that, well, that $19 million can't compare to the $200 million. And yet the fact that it's that close, that's interesting. Yeah. 11 million of which will go to advertising. That said, the measure's opponents don't expect to keep up. Speaking with the Wall Street Journal, Steve Smith, a spokesman for the California Labor Federation and the No on 22 campaign, says just the sheer volume of messaging Prop 22 supporters are able to get through television is unlike anything I've ever seen. That final advertising sprint makes sense. According to pollster Mark DiCamillo, which also oversaw Berkeley's September poll on the measure, the relatively large proportions of undecided voters in both polls suggest that many voters were having a difficult time reaching a final decision on this initiative. How these late deciding voters ultimately come to judgment will likely determine its fate.
Yeah.
Assuming that you remain undecided, there are several nonpartisan sources you can use to make up your mind. And I'm just going to say I am voting against it. And according to their poll, after almost 1,900 votes, 63% said they are voting against it, 33% said they're voting for it, and 3 are not decided yet. Well, if any of you 3 are watching this video, I encourage you to vote no, and I think you encourage them to vote no.
Yeah.
So there you go. So anyway, that's that's kind of humbling a little bit if you stop and think about it, because again, they've way overspent on this thing. They have done everything they could to get it passed. They've been bugging you with the in-app notifications.
Oh my gosh.
They've had
that's
that's like a whole nother story. They've had the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers come out in support of it, even though, with all due respect to the mothers of drunk driving, you know, I don't know if a tired and barely awake driver driving home a drunk driver is a whole lot better than a drunk driver. So despite all of this, though, it's really super close. So if you haven't voted yet and you're undecided, hopefully this will be your edge. And keep an eye on this channel. Subscribe if you must, because on the next couple days I will be posting additional videos on moral arguments on why you should probably vote no on Prop 22. I don't know. What do you think about the polls being this close?
That's closer than the presidential election on this. It's like, but
and remember, there's like a 12% margin of error for all these polls.
Yeah. Uber's got to be sweating right now.
They've got to be sweating.
Especially since sweat every once in a while.
Because you know that if this doesn't pass, then they have to like press a button and make those changes, or they have to shut down the service.
And that's why they're spending $200 million, $2 billion on the cost of this program. You know, right. Losing that. It's like they don't want anyone to work for the independent contractors or employees. They don't want any. They're trying. They are actively trying on technology to replace like any driver on the road. It doesn't matter if they're employees or independent contractors. All their goal is to get to that future monopoly on self-driving cars.
Right. And there needs to be a monopoly on self-driving cars for self-driving cars to even be functional, which some people don't realize, because it's like, well, look, let's say Tesla gets to the market first.
Yeah.
And then a year later, Google comes around. Like, do you think Google's going to use Tesla's software in their cars? Probably not. But if these cars aren't talking to each other, the whole safety aspect of a self-driving car is totally, totally nullified. Although that's like another topic. And, you know, I'm going to actually separate this into its own separate video tomorrow. So the question I have for everyone who's watching this, what do you think? Are you surprised that the polls are that close? Are you going to be voting yes or no? I actually have quite a mixture of people voting on that. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly.
And I'm going to get back to Chris, Real Rideshare Stories, is doing an awesome 24-hour live stream, raising awareness against drunk driving. So awesome. If you want to see, I've done 24-hour streams before, and let me tell you, it's not easy. But
no, I can't imagine that it is. Maybe one of these...
We got to do a 24-hour, man.
Oh my gosh, are we just going to talk about anime that whole time?
We could do that. I could talk about anime for 24 hours.
We're gonna like compare like the anime DVDs and VHSs that we have.
Astro Boy and like Speed Racer, like, or even go back further than that.
I've never liked Speed Racer, although I do like the movie, which
the movie,
the movie was fine. Maybe we'll do like a 24-hour live stream where you and me are playing like anime games on Twitch or something.
Yeah,
like Jump Force, like we just, or J Stars Victory, like so.
So yeah, Real Rideshare Stories. I'm going to see all you out there over in that chat after this stream out there.
Right. And yeah, that's actually probably a good place to actually end the live stream itself. So anyway, thank you for everyone who joined us, who contributed in both situations with the pros and the cons. And this is not an entirely unexpected result. We pretty much decided that Prop 22 is not beneficial to really anyone. when it comes to whether or not it should pass or not.
Hmm.
Like passes, I think it will be worse. Interestingly, I know at least one person who's going to vote no on 22 because her husband's a musician, a indie indie musician. In fact, I'm gonna just give them some free
free plug. Get a plug there.
Free plug. I believe they're on let's see.
On, like SoundCloud or
here they are. I just found them. So here we go. So yeah, here they are. They've actually got a Christmas single, which is good.
Good luck, ugly.
Good luck, ugly. Yep. As they call themselves, they're punk that your parents would like.
Nice.
So that's what they are. Anyway, because they are independent contractors when they go to their venues and stuff, AB5 actually does put some restrictions now.
Yeah.
On how they can do things. So it is unfortunately one of those things. Yes, Rideshare Choice Driver. I do like manga personally.
Yeah, it's good.
But the kind of get back to this real quick. They're both voting no on Prop 22 because AB5, unlike most laws, hurts industries that it was not intended to hurt.
It was a sledgehammer when we needed a scalpel. But
right, exactly. It's a sledgehammer when we need a scalpel. And it's pretty clear that AB5 was written directly in response to the gig economy companies. No one was talking about this until they came along.
Yeah.
So this thing gets passed, and it affects people outside of the gig economy companies. And she was kind of like, we are not giving them an exemption. Like, they're the reason they passed this stupid law. AB5 needs to be repealed. But instead of being repealed, like we're saying that the people that cause this problem are the ones that want to be exempted from it. No, we're voting no on that because we want it to be repealed altogether.
All right.
And that was an interesting way to look at it. So, that's maybe that's something we're not actually thinking about in this whole debate. Like how many true independent contractors out there, psychiatrists and nurses
my sister
pissed at Uber and Lyft that they brought this to their door are going to vote no on Prop 22 out of spite.
My sister-in-law, she's a dance instructor, and has a lot of her friends in the industry that Pilates instructors out there, they're getting screwed by it. Like theater companies can't afford to have these instructors part of their troupe anymore, I guess, because they have to make them employees and they can't afford that.
Right. So, I think that might be like a portion of the of the California public that we're not taking into account. The peoples whose jobs were truly affected by this.
Yeah.
And now Uber and Lyft is asking for an exemption. And everyone knows that this was written in response to the gig companies.
Yeah.
How many of those people are disgruntled enough that they will vote no on Prop 22 out of spite? It could be hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if it passes. Like, is California going to the drivers going to still we're going to make AB6 next year or something? We're going to keep fighting, or if it fails, is Uber going to say we're going to make Prop 23 next? Prop 23.
Everyone, both sides will fight this as long as they humanly can.
Yeah.
That's no one is going to wave the red flag on this one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there might be some temporary setbacks, but that's just how it is. No one wants to do it. But anyway, yeah, that was an interesting reason that they were voting no on Prop 22. So anyway, folks, actually, there's one more question here that I think is not a terrible question, to be honest. Do you think Uber should be exempt just because they create drivers' jobs and help the economy? And my answer is no.
Yeah.
Because for two reasons. One, they create jobs, but they frankly suck. And two, they don't help the economy because these people are living below poverty wages. So that doesn't help anyone, really.
Even the current employees, like they fired, all those drivers, all those those developers in a Zoom call. Right. And then there was an article a couple weeks ago. They hired like 800 employees from India or something like that, outsourced the driver, the workers. They're into profit hungry, but that's capitalism. So of course they are. So.
That's capitalism. So, and And I agree with Abstract Echo. Get rid of AB 5 and Prop 22 and make the gig companies obey the labor laws that were already in place. Yep.
Walmart would love to pay their cashiers only when they make a sale. And just like you're going to show up and you're going to wait for somebody to buy something. But they can't because of 150 years of labor laws have been fighting, said like, no, we're here. We're on the clock. We're working. You're going to pay us for that. And if that's, you got to, it's cost of operation and cost of doing business. And they found a loophole.
Yep, exactly. that I kind of wonder, like, if this thing passed, like, how long would it be until a Walmart or an Amazon or Best Buy like wanted their Prop 22, where it's like, yeah, we just want to pay the workers when they're actually working, not when they're standing around because it's slow.
Yeah, and that's exactly like I've had W2 jobs where like if it's turns out it wasn't that busy. They have to send 1 or 2 employees home. Who wants to go home? Who, it's like that's the way it works.
That's the way it works. Yep. So anyway, folks, it's been an hour and a half. That was like 30 minutes longer than I expected to go. Yeah. Thank you, Dark Road Run, for joining me. We might have to do that 24-hour live. Like I will. Katie's gonna hate you when we do that. That's gonna say that I don't want you talking to Dark Road Run anymore.
We should fall asleep in the back. She's asleep in the back room. Or that we are in your room, are we? Yeah. Yep,
the room, the office, the collector's den. I mean, my phone does not have enough power to run. It would overheat before we got to the end of the, But yeah, no, we'll maybe for the new year.
I tell you,
when lockdowns get reinstated, because I think
I'm making a trip down to LA and I'm making a cinematic. I'm going to film you in 4K. I want to use all the stuff I learned about cinematic lighting. We're making a movie with your experience of in the industry. I think we can do something kind of like an independent offering for Sundance or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's what people want to see, me in 4K. That'd be wonderful.
It's all about the lighting. It's all about the lighting. Lighting can make up for a lot. So anyway, thank you folks for spending this time with us. Thank you for joining. And yeah, I'm gonna actually, some of these main topics, we're gonna cut them up and we're gonna upload them as individual videos. So if you need to help convince people to vote no on 22, but don't want them to watch this whole hour and a half, there'll be other options. So anyway, the drill, folks. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, blame responsibly. Have a good one.